checking out Hip Hop Legal. I wanted to use basketball to illustrate this analogy that I've been thinking of. You know, the legal profession, in my humble opinion, and really life in general, is like a game of basketball. But it's not your ordinary game, not your ordinary matchup. For the purpose of this example, we won't even mention the players on each respective side. But we'll say that we can develop talent. Both sides are capable of developing talent, and they have their ways of doing it. Think of the Rocky scene and how Ivan Drago had the top-notch, equipment inside, and he's working out extremely hard, and you can see the tangible gains on computers and so on and so forth. Rocky was outside, running up the side of the mountain, running in snow, chopping wood, but you can see him working his tail off. And sure enough, Rocky was ready when it was time to fight. And so it doesn't matter how you get there. I mean, you just got to get there, right? That's my worldview, at least. But in this particular game, you have on one side individuals that not only have the best equipment at their disposal, the best coaches, the best massage therapists, the best statisticians, the best chefs, the best nutritionists, you name it. But they also have the rules that play in their favor in terms of the amount of fouls that are called. They never get a foul called on them. In fact, if a foul is ever called, somehow every time the refs take the foul back. When they travel, it's not a travel. We were just looking at the wrong thing. And what's interesting is they have home court advantage. So when the audience is watching this game, even though they see these things happening, they turn a blind eye in hopes of possibly getting recruited to play on the team and hit the court and start scoring some threes on the other squad. Now imagine that, folks coming out of the audience to dominate the team that's on the court. Now, mind you, the team on the court cannot call a timeout. They don't have sneakers. There's a new mandate that they must now start wearing skirts. Their coaches and assistant coaches actively work for the other team. After every timeout, they go into their huddle and tell them what the next play is going to be. And to add insult to injury, the stadium is running a blooper reel up on the Jumbotron all throughout the game. During timeouts, they're having fans come out and dunk on star players from the other team. And there are a few instances where a few players have actually died on the court for various issues that may not even have to do with basketball. But what's most egregious is the fact that the audience continues to sit in the stadium and watch this game go on and on and on. In fact, they're betting, obviously, for the winners, but the odds, after a while, you have to imagine, are not that great. And so it becomes almost a lesson in futility in terms of trying to make some money off of a comeback or maybe some sort of unexpected win. It will never happen, and everyone just seems to be content with that idea. Now, how it applies to the legal profession. Imagine in that scenario, let's say some entity that controlled this league and controlled the two teams said that, we want to try to see if we can create some mechanism here to maybe make this a little bit more fair or create a level of fairness just within the system. So they say, we're going to start looking for general managers, for example. Let's say general managers in this example represent attorneys. As many of you know, the attorney position and having that knowledge of the law and also how to apply the law and how to view the law and all the nuances concerning the law is a tool that can build empires. Now, you go on and become a general manager, and you have an opportunity to either be on the winning side, which again, they're up 111 on the other side, has 25 points. Which side do you pick? A lot of folks are going to go on the 111 side, if we're honest. And some folks, if they're forced to go on the 25-point side, they're going to actively try to work to get on the 111-point side. So there's no victory here for the 25-point side, just so we're clear. But to make it a competitive matchup is a great thing for everybody involved, for everyone involved. But then to actively pretend as if you're not a GM and that you're just a fan and that you're just observing this and you have no say-so as to how this thing plays out is a fundamental problem, and really speaks to a certain level of cowardice that, again, maybe we're not being honest with ourselves here, but it has to be said. You don't get any points for joining or jumping on the bandwagon. The odds are in your favor. So to then begin to do little sneaky things, start to cheat more, start to make up lies, start to threaten harm and violence based off of the fact that the other team seems to possibly attempt to get their stuff together is sad. Switch out lawyer for really any powerful position in this society, and you'll make this analogy work. And I'll tell you, the thing that sort of frustrates me the most is I think that anyone that has ever gone to law school or taken any sort of CLE or is involved in the legal profession and has done some research about the various processes understands that it's a very detailed-oriented profession. But for some reason, we don't muster enough strength to be able to deal with the issues pertaining to jury selection, for example, pertaining to implicit bias, for example, pertaining to the cash, bail, and bond system, pertaining to the disproportionate amount of black and brown folks that are arrested and charged and sentenced to an exorbitant amount of time with no real pathway for them to become prosperous citizens in society. And I get it. You could be saying, hey, I only work in civil law, or I am in wills and trust and acquisitions, corporate law. I don't know. But that's just not my thing. God bless you. But you did go to law school and you learned these things. I'll never forget the experience once I went to a CLE full of prosecutors when we were all sitting there watching this presentation on implicit bias and how that affects juries, or rather just juries in general. But that particular section about implicit bias, when the presenter, his slide came up and he showed just a little small snippet of that section and quickly went on to the next thing. And everyone in this room of some of the smartest people out there, simply just twiddle their thumbs and act like nothing happened. So it speaks to this idea of being complicit. And I get it. Maybe that's not your thing. And if it's not, pulling out your guns makes you as barbaric as those people that you sit at the dinner table discussing and attributing to the end of our democracy. Truth is, intellectually speaking, that is, what you're doing amounts to nothing more than a primitive response to feeling threatened. The reality of it is, there's no one threatening you. You can be an ally. You can be a superhero. You don't have to join the winning team and decide to eviscerate the proletariat.